everybody. Welcome to Cosetta's Place. As you can tell from the title, what happened was. This is just a little what happened was. And I thought it was kind of cute and funny. I was going to tell you about it. It happened the other day. And by the title, you can see that Cosetta almost had a doggy. And so what happened was, I was working at a different family for the weekend. I was house sitting for them, and I had finished up. So I was going back over to my other family, the one where I stay and I live with them. I mean, I stay with them, while I'm babysitting for them or doing whatever they need. So as I was going back to parking at their house, I was looking down the street and I saw this little puppy looking little doggy walking in the middle of the street, just going. And I was like, what, the dog's in the street? Oh no, So I look around, I get out the car and I'm looking around and there's nobody out, absolutely nobody. It was Memorial Day weekend. And but there was nobody up the street, down the street, over the street, anywhere. So I'm like, well, I can't let the doggy just keep walking in the street. So I put my hand down to see if it would come, and it did. It came right to me, and it didn't have a collar on with the name on it, but it had the brace that you use when you walk in a dog and you clip it on, and it's on their back. So I know it was an owner. It wasn't a stray dog. Somebody owned it. And so I was like, well, somebody, and it was all groomed up. It looked fine. So I knew it wasn't a stray or anything. So I got it out of the street and I just stood out by my car for a little bit with it and just kept trying to see if somebody would be like, run up and say, oh, there's my dog, So anyway, so what happened was, at where I work. So I'm like, okay, well, if I take the dog in the house, it's not my house. But they love animals and everything. And because one time she rescued this little birdie, so I know she would rescue a dog. So I pick up the dog, take it in the house. As I walk in, everybody's home. And I'm like, hey, do y'all know who this dog belongs to? So her husband, and the youngest boy is home. And so they come and they're like, no, we don't know. And I told them what happened. And they're like, I wonder whose it is. And, whatever. So she immediately takes a picture of it, the dog, and puts it on the post for the neighborhood, for lost and found or whatever. So that was done. So we're like, okay. So we get the little doggy some water, and I'm like, we're trying to figure out, okay, well, all we can do is wait to see if anybody, so we try to figure out whether there's new people moved in or up the street or something. So, so while we're waiting, I said, well, and she was fine with it, being in the house and everything. So I said, well, I'll just take the dog, downstairs, where my area is, because, I found the dog. So while we're waiting, so I'm sitting down there and I bring the little dog bowl of water and I go get some of the dog from Banks. Y'all remember Banks? That's their dog. So I went upstairs to get some dog food of Banks's. And of course, Banks did not appreciate it. He was barking at me when I had the dog upstairs. And then when I went and got his food to give to another dog, he was like, He was so funny. Y'all, he was barking at me. And so I told him, you have to share. But anyway, so I fed it a little bit. So we just sat downstairs and I was like, well, let's walk the neighborhood a little bit. And maybe we'll just see somebody looking for a dog. So I took the dog up the street, then in the direction that it was going. I said, well, if it lives around here, maybe it was trying to get home. So I followed the direction the dog was going in. And so I went and I saw this house that had like dog things, like picture, sculpture of dogs. So I said, well, maybe that's them. So I knock on their door and it wasn't them, but they were like, yeah, we don't know anybody that has this dog, blah, blah, whatever. So I talked to them for a little bit. So I head back out. And So I was like, oh, well, I don't know what else to do. So I go back. And so then Tracy's little boy comes down. He's like, can I play with the dog? I said, okay, if what your mom says. And she says, yeah. So they went upstairs. And so later on, I said, well, let me go check on the dog. And she said, well, me and Matthew's going to take Banks for a walk. So I'll take the dog with me in case we could, in a different direction. So they take the dog, and they're gone for a little bit. I get a text, and she says, we found the owner. I'm like, yay. So I was so glad that she found the owner. So when she got back, of course, I had to find out, well, what happened? Who was it? What happened? And so she told me they walked around the neighborhood, but then the dog kept wanting to go a certain direction, like it kept pulling. He didn't want to go a certain way, so she let it go the way it wanted to go. And it turns out the same way I went, it was off to the right. I went to the left because it pulled me that way, but she went off to the right. And as she went down into the cul-de-sac, she said it was a teenage girl who ran out and said, oh, whatever the dog's name is. I can't remember what the dog's name was. I can't remember the name. But she hollered the dog's name and ran up. And I was like, oh, that's that. So the dog got home. So I was so glad. First of all, because I was glad it got home. Secondly, because I don't have nowhere to keep a dog. Because, I'm on the road all the time. And so I was thinking to myself the whole time while I had it, if I can't find the owners, I'm going to have to take the dog to my son. Because my son rescues dogs. He goes to, like, when he wants a dog, he goes to the area, what's it called? Where they, not the pound, but wherever, and he rescues them. And so they did 2 like that. And so I was like, he gonna have another dog. And but anyway, I didn't have to do that. But so anyway, the dog found a home, and I owned the dog for a few hours. So I just thought it was funny and cute. I thought I'd tell y'all. I'll insert a picture of the doggy. So y'all can see what it looked like. Because I took a picture of it. And what I did was I wanted to trick my son. I sent the picture to him. And under the text, I said, look what I got. To make him think I had a dog. But so I had a fun time with him, telling him the story, But anyway. But he was totally willing to take the dog if I had to. So, but anyway, it's a cute little doggy. And, but anyway, so I just wanted to tell y'all that what happened. Well, all right. I guess that's not too bad. It's only like 8-9 minutes. That's not too bad. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Whenever something else happens, I'll let you know. All right. Y'all have a blessed day.